Welcome back to Iraqi Dinar Today Latest news. What we're uncovering right now could mark one of the most significant developments in Iraq's modern financial history. For years, discussions around the dinar's potential revaluation have come and gone, leaving many skeptical or exhausted by speculation. But something different is happening this time. Recent reports and verified movements inside Iraq's financial infrastructure suggest the country may have entered its final stage of preparation, a 60-day window that could define Iraq's next economic era. Across Iraq, momentum is building. New systems are being launched, digital upgrades are in full motion, and coordination between the Central Bank of Iraq and international financial platforms is deepening. These changes aren't isolated events, they're interconnected pieces of a larger transformation. For the first time in decades, Iraqi banks are reportedly capable of processing international digital transactions in real time. That's a breakthrough in a nation that has spent years modernizing its outdated systems to align with global standards. Observers say the timing of these upgrades is deliberate. Iraq's fiscal year begins in early 2025, and many analysts believe aligning major financial shifts with that date makes logistical sense. Introducing a revised budget, refreshed banking tools, and possibly an adjusted exchange rate at the start of the year would streamline the transition and present a cohesive financial strategy to both domestic and global markets. This 60-day period has drawn intense attention because it appears to coincide with the completion of long-running reforms. Over the years, Iraq has worked to build transparency into its monetary policy, introduce anti-corruption frameworks, and update outdated transaction systems. While earlier phases were marked by delays or incomplete compliance, officials now suggest that the final technical and regulatory pieces are in place. The groundwork for full monetary reform, including international integration, seems to be finished. Insiders have hinted that Iraq's 2025 budget may already reflect an internal adjustment to the dinar's value. Though unconfirmed, such reports have led experts to conclude that the nation's planners are operating with a higher exchange rate assumption behind the scenes. This approach would allow for a smoother transition once any official change is announced publicly, aligning fiscal projections with new financial realities. Adding to the intrigue, several international banks have been observed testing rate systems that include the Iraqi dinar. These test rates are not public and typically appear only within internal networks. While they are often placeholders, their timing has raised eyebrows. Financial institutions don't usually conduct such synchronized testing without purpose. Combined with Iraq's new digital banking connections, these tests could suggest that systems are being primed for broader activation. The Iraqi leadership has also increased its public messaging about financial progress. Government officials and central bank representatives have used confident language, emphasizing the nation's readiness to represent its true economic potential. They've spoken of stronger financial foundations, transparency in transactions, and global parity, phrasing that many interpret as signaling the end of the long reform process. Behind these statements lies nearly 2 decades of effort. Iraq's journey toward a modern, internationally compliant financial system has required massive structural reforms. Banks have been overhauled, oversight has improved, and digital systems have been implemented to match international banking protocols. This modernization process, slow as it has been, has allowed Iraq to rebuild trust with global partners and open pathways to greater financial participation. According to regional analysts, the final technical stage now involves syncing data and ensuring full compliance with digital banking standards across multiple jurisdictions. Once synchronization is verified, only a public announcement would remain. This is why many observers describe Iraq as standing on the edge of financial activation, a point where preparation has concluded and execution is imminent. The timing could not be more strategic. In 2025, the global economy continues to evolve toward digitalization and interconnected banking. Iraq's participation in major financial systems, such as SWIFT, positions it to transact more efficiently with partners worldwide. This integration means Iraq can conduct international trade, manage energy contracts, and attract investment on terms far closer to those of other established economies. One of the most telling clues lies within Iraq's own fiscal planning. Reports indicate that government contracts and internal projections for 2025 use updated rate calculations rather than legacy numbers. This implies that decision-makers are planning based on a restructured financial model, possibly reflecting a higher dinar value internally. For this to function properly, public alignment would have to follow soon, likely before or during the launch of the new budget cycle. At the operational level, Iraqi banks are testing and calibrating their internal systems to ensure smooth adaptation when changes take effect. The central bank has emphasized stability, stating that it aims to avoid market disruption during any transition. To achieve this, Iraq has been working closely with international institutions, which provide oversight and ensure that the new systems meet compliance standards. The rationale behind the 2-month window appears simple yet strategic. With Iraq's fiscal year beginning in January, the months of November and December serve as the final preparation period. Governments often implement monetary and budgetary changes at the start of a fiscal cycle for clarity and control. By aligning reforms with that schedule, Iraq could minimize confusion and maintain continuity in both public finance and private enterprise. These developments also highlight Iraq's growing cooperation with international bodies. Transparency and accountability remain central to the reform agenda, especially in preventing financial misconduct. Through collaboration with global financial organizations, Iraq aims to ensure that once its currency adjustments are made, they are backed by credibility and sustained through responsible management. Inside the country, visible progress supports these reports. Local news outlets have been covering advances in digital banking, streamlined payment systems, and increased foreign trade capabilities. Citizens are beginning to experience the effects firsthand: smoother electronic payments, greater banking access, and more efficient financial services. Each of these improvements signals Iraq's readiness to operate in a modern, interconnected economy. Should a revaluation occur, it would signify more than a change in currency value. It would symbolize Iraq's re-entry into the international financial community as a credible and capable participant. However, authorities continue to caution that any rate changes must be confirmed only through official channels. Until the central bank issues a formal statement, speculation or unofficial exchange activity remains inappropriate. As the 60-day period unfolds, many analysts are watching for specific milestones: final budget approval, completion of internal system testing, and potential public disclosures from Iraq's central financial institutions. Each event could offer hints about how close Iraq is to implementing its next major financial step. The process appears deliberate, structured, and in coordination with global partners. Looking ahead to 2025, the broader economic environment seems favorable for Iraq's continued growth. Oil revenues are steady, infrastructure projects are expanding, and investor confidence is slowly returning. Combined with modern banking reforms, these factors suggest that Iraq's financial future is becoming more stable and resilient. The focus now is not just on revaluation, but on ensuring long-term sustainability. Public sentiment within Iraq is also shifting. After years of hardship and uncertainty, optimism is returning. Entrepreneurs are re-entering the market, private sector participation is increasing, and local institutions are strengthening their role in economic development. These are signs of a country regaining balance and preparing for broader integration into the global economy. In conclusion, Iraq's financial evolution appears to have entered a decisive phase. The ongoing reforms, international partnerships, and digital modernization efforts have created conditions that previous generations could only imagine. Whether the next official announcement comes soon or later, one fact is clear: Iraq has made measurable progress toward becoming a transparent, globally connected financial system. The coming months could mark the culmination of years of preparation, a moment when Iraq's currency and economy finally reflect the nation's growing strength and potential.